friends, welcome back to my channel where I want to help you make the most of your marriage and for it to be the best that it could possibly be. Please know that as I share these principles with you, I am not perfect and I do not have a perfect marriage, but I can tell you this, I have been doing these things. It has become a lifestyle. The things that I teach you on this channel, I've been doing these things since 2003. And let me tell you, that was when my marriage turned around. So let's get started. One of the very first things that I did to turn my marriage around back in 2003 when it was on life support is one basic principle. And I have been living it since, and it's the principle of serving others. It's the principle of serving your husband before you serve yourself. It's the principle of putting him first before you actually look at your own needs. And so when I was learning this principle, I was actually studying John 13 in the Bible. And in John 13, Jesus was washing his disciples' feet. And in John 13, when he is washing his disciples' feet, number one, that was one of the grossest and nastiest jobs that anyone could ever do, but Jesus actually did it. And then number two, not only did he wash his disciples' feet, but he did it the night before he went to the cross to die on the cross for our sins. Number three, he washed Judas's feet. The enemy, his enemy, the one that he knew would betray him, the one that he knew was going to turn on him, Jesus washed his feet. It's a really powerful message. But when I was in Bible study back in 2003 and I was learning this, honestly, my husband could have been my enemy, so to speak. I mean, I've told you before, we were merely cohabitating. And, but I learned that if I would die to myself and if I would begin to serve him, that life would come back into my marriage. And can I just tell you that it did? As I began to serve him. And so some of the things that I did to begin serving him, and listen, what this looks like for me is my story. You have to figure out how this principle looks in your life and how it works with your man, okay? Are you with me? So one of the things that I started to do was I started bringing him coffee in bed. And y'all, this was before the Keurig. So I had to make the strong coffee that puts hair on your chest kind of coffee that I really don't like, that I have to water down. I began doing that and I began bringing it to him in bed. Also, we had a carport at the time. We did not have a garage. And I remember starting his car on cold mornings so that when he went out to go to work, he would get into a warm car. Another way that I began to serve him was I quit nagging him. I quit nagging him to go to church. I quit nagging him to hurry up and get home after he was playing golf. I quit nagging him, really just about everything. Instead of nagging, I started praying for him, and that's a whole other video. Another way that I began to serve him was I began to sleep with him on a regular basis. And that is biblical. If we are depriving our husbands in that area, we're only ultimately hurting ourselves. And that too is a totally different video, and we'll do that later as well. But serve your husband. When you begin to get into a mindset of serving, and it becomes not just like the ice cream flavor of the week, but it becomes a lifestyle, can I just tell you what will happen? He will begin to serve you. He will begin to put your needs ahead of his own. Y'all, it is the sweetest thing to see in my house right now. It is, I think I've told you, we're empty nesters, and we love when our kids come home. Our kids are college age. We love when our kids come home, but we have a look in each other's eye, and it's really quite sweet and romantic. And that look is, I can't wait till they're gone. And y'all, this is after 28 years of marriage. It's really sweet. 28 years into marriage, I get home from work, and a lot of the times he's gotten appetizers out and drinks out, and just so that we can sit outside on our deck and talk, and it's really sweet. He will do that for you as well if you married a good guy. And I'm assuming you married a good guy, because after all, you married him, right? So let me give you 3 ways that you can serve your husband, your man, and these aren't in necessarily any order. Actually, there are 4 things. So the first thing is resist taking score. So don't take score, as in you're doing more things than he's doing. You know, when I first started doing this, I remember cleaning up the trash from the side of our yard that a squirrel had gotten into our trash can. They would get into the trash can, not a squirrel, I'm sorry, a raccoon, would get into our trash can and spew the trash all over the side yard. And can I just tell you, when I first started serving my husband, he didn't notice when he got home. And like, that irritated me, right? And so then I began to do it when he was getting home from work so that I could get credit for it. He still didn't really even notice, but that did not stop me. I continued to do it. I did the lowliest possible thing, and I resisted taking score. So don't take score, because let me tell you, as you begin to sow into your marriage, you will reap in return. Number 2, be willing to serve. All it takes is a willing heart. All it takes is a willingness to do things differently in your home. You remember Einstein's, it was Einstein's definition of crazy, and that is when we want a change, we want things to be different, but we aren't willing to do things differently. We keep doing things the same way, and when we do things the same way, we're going to get the same result. So, number 2, be willing to serve. Number 3, make a list of all the things that your husband does. Think about it. I want you to think about the things that he does. Even, sometimes my husband, he'll take my car and put gas in my car, or he will wash my car for me. I mean, the little things like that mean a lot to me. Or when my husband texts me and says, I'm going to the grocery store, what can I get? What do you have on your list? I'll get it for you. Make note of all the little things that your husband does. And then number 4, be willing to go the extra mile. Yes, be willing to go the extra mile. Because I'm telling you, you will reap a harvest. You just keep on sowing, sweet friend, into your marriage, and you will reap a harvest. So, what have we learned today? We're going to serve. We're going to do things differently in our home. Never mind that the world doesn't do this. Never mind that the world tells women today that we need to be served. That's not the way that we're going to bring meaningful change into our marriage, because the way to bring meaningful change into our marriage is to begin doing marriage God's way. He's the one that invented marriage. So as we do marriage the way He tells us to do marriage, girl, things are going to be different. Your marriage will be different too. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you next time.